Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Ticmd. In this occasion, we have the ERAS tour, which will be conducted by Dr. Diego Neira Crespo. He's going to be guiding us step by step in this application. He's a PRI-IMG ambassador from Ecuador and also a PRI-IMG ambassador. Welcome to Ticmd, Dr. Neira Crespo.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much, Candy, for the introduction. I just want to encourage you all to ask questions, to share. I'm happy to answer anything that I can. I'm going to be taking you through a little bit of my application of what I've opened. Also, I'm going to say this in Spanish as well for any of our audience. Buenas tardes a todos. Yo soy Diego Neira Crespo. Si tienen preguntas, por favor, lo ponen en la plataforma. Si lo ponen en español, yo de cualquier manera les puedo ayudar a contestar esas incógnitas que tengan. So let's kind of just jump in and let's begin. So pretty much the first thing you guys have to do is you guys have to buy the ERAS token. We can do this pretty much simple ways. Just go into google.com, put buy my ERAS token. You'll go to here to register, and depending on where you are or what you're doing, if you're a United States medical grad, you do it through your university. And then if you're an IMG, you actually do it through ECFMG. So you go to ECFMG, go to online services for physician, go to Oasis, and then you pretty much log in. Once you get to this page right here, you're going to end up going to the ERAS support services section that's down at the bottom. Then once you go into that part, you're going to see this page. You're going to see an ERAS tokens request. You're going to go into this link right here, and that's going to take you into a portal that's going to ask you for your credit card information and stuff like that. Things to consider before actually buying the ERAS token. There's a whole timeline of things that are going on with the whole match process with the ERAS token registration. So here, actually, during last month, the ERAS token became available on June 28th. Then on September 6th, you can actually start applying to programs through the ERAS platform. On September 15th, you can register for the match. And then on the 27th of September, you can actually, the programs can actually start reviewing applications. And then you have the rest of the process that goes on from January to March, when March is actually match week and match day, and the post-match season begins after your match day. So let's go to, you're going to sign into my ERAS portal. And once you kind of sign into my ERAS portal, you're going to be greeted with this dashboard right here. Pretty much here, we're going to have a few sections. The dashboard, which just tells you a whole overview of everything that's been done, of the information that's been transmitted. You're going to have your application part, your documents, your programs, different messages from things that might be going on, updates from programs, messages that maybe programs send you directly, messages from ECFMG, and messages from ERAS. I'm going to take you to this part right here. So within this part, it has pretty much a few different sections that's actually kind of changed from last year. Last year, we had the ERAS application, and then depending on the specialty you were applying to, you also had the supplemental application. This year, what they've done is they actually combined the supplemental application within the ERAS application. So now that's all in one thing. And then when we go into the application, I'm going to go directly into the biographic information section, just because the other part is personal information. So once we go into the biographic information section, it's just going to ask you to kind of self-identify where you're from. For example, in my case, I'm Hispanic, I'm from Ecuador. Languages that you may speak, military information, geographic preferences. So here, actually, this was actually part of the supplemental application. This is actually new within the ARS platform. In this case, you can see I've chosen New England, Mid-Atlantic, and South Atlantic, pretty much the whole East Coast for me. It's my preference just because I've lived on this side of the United States for a good while, actually. And I formed connections within each one of these places. You're also going to indicate your setting preference. You have preferences from rural to suburban to urban. In my preference, I do prefer to be in a suburban or an urban setting. And then also just add different hometowns, places that you've established roots, established connections. For example, let's say you've lived in more than one area. You can say, for example, now I live in Miami. So Miami would be one of my hometowns. Within the indication part, pretty much there's this section right here that says higher education. This is if you've done some other type of studies, like let's say you've done a master's in a different field and stuff like that. So you would put that here. It's actually normal that most of us IMGs, we don't fill anything out here. It just stays as none because not everybody has done a postgraduate program in that sense. In medical education here, we just put the university where you attended to and the dates that you attended. And then postgraduate training, this right here is just pretty much if you've done a residency program within the United States before. There's cases of different IMGs who've come to the United States, they've moved back home or they've done a preliminary year. And this is something that they could put in there in this section. The rest, membership societies that you may pertain to, school awards that you have received, and other awards and accomplishments. Within this, in the next part, we have our experiences. So this is kind of divided up into two parts. Here, we have our selected experiences, where here kind of goes our work experiences. And in this part, they actually combined it with our supplemental application from last year as well, in the sense that this impactful experience was not included before. This part where we have to identify up to 3 experiences was also not included before. And the way you do it, you just go in there, put your organization, the name, the experience type, the position title, whether you're currently working in this role, and then you kind of fill this out, the different roles and responsibilities that you had. It's good to kind of use bullet points and stuff like that, not so much as a paragraph format. Remember that program directors, they're reading through hundreds or even thousands of these. So we want to try to make it kind of as easy as possible for them to interpret and understand exactly what we did at different points in our studies and our careers. It's good to be very punctual or very directed in the way you kind of did something or drove some type of growth, or you kind of led a group in that sense in this section. In the impactful experience section, this is very much a more personal essay type of question. In this personal essay type of question, you just kind of have to describe your life, different obstacles that you may have faced and have overcome that have influenced your life to get to residency or to apply to this process or to be doing this. I encourage you guys to fill this out. It may not pertain to everybody, but I think it's a great way to kind of transmit just a little bit of our personal story. And then here in additional questions, they just asked, was our medical training or education interrupted? And that's saying, let's say it was extended longer than normal time, or there was a time where you had to kind of just take a break from everything and had to take a step away. Within the licensure section, pretty much here is if you've held any licenses in other states, if you've worked as a professional, medical professional in other states, let's say you were a nurse before, or you were a PA as well, that would go here. In here, in the additional questions, it's just personal questions, kind of asking a little bit about your past history and things that they need to be kind of disclosed. Here in the publication section is actually very straightforward. It's just things that you've done, things that you've published. Once you go in, you just kind of select your publication type, and then you go on and specify exactly who was the author, what was the publication, where it can be found, and the things along those lines. And then after here at the last part, once you've completed all this right here, is when you hit certify and submit. And I'm not going to hit that right now because I'm not ready to certify and submit by any means. Remember that you don't have to certify and submit once it's ready. You can actually wait until September, until you've gotten all your experiences in. You are completely sure that you've modified, that everything is up to par on what you really want to convey, what message you want to send, before you hit that certify and submit button. Because once you hit that certify and submit button, you can't make any changes pretty much. The only changes you'd be able to make is in the personal information. Then everything else would stay the same. So then we're going to take a look here at the documents. In the documents, we have the personal statement section, the letters of recommendation, and then additional documents. Here in personal statements, what you actually do is that you create one. So like say, for example, I want internal medicine. And then here you would just, you could write your personal statement in a different document, and then you could copy and paste here. The idea behind here is that you guys should kind of try to make this one page. And you can see exactly how it would look and how it would be formatted, what everybody else, what your program directors or people who are reviewing your application will be looking at. So if it actually goes on to more than one page, it'll tell you here, page 1 of 2 and then 2 of 2. So try to keep it to one page. We're trying to make things easy for the people who are kind of reading through our documents, who are reading through our application, easy to look at, easy to interpret. They're going through a lot of these. In the okay. So then we also have our letter of recommendation section. In this letter of recommendation section, you can ask your different teachers, professors, or preceptors, whether it be in your home country or the United States, to give you guys a recommendation letter. It's advised that you let them know with a good amount of time beforehand, so they have time to draft these letters, to put it up there. And it's important that when you're asking them to submit the LOR, that you waive the right to see it. So for example, here I have 4 letters that were uploaded. I haven't seen anything that's on these letters, and I made sure to waive this right pretty much when I asked them to submit these letters for me. Then in the additional document section, pretty much what we have is our USMLE transcript, the MSPE, the medical school transcript, the photo, and the ECFMG status report. How we get these through, for example, once this opens, this is going to have an extra fee on top of your ARS token. And what you just have to do is you have to authorize it in here manually. And then afterwards, with these, you also have to kind of have your university uploaded, as well as your medical school's transcript. Your photo, you actually upload it through the ARS portal on Oasis. So I can show you here exactly how to do that. So once you go to the ARS portal on Oasis, you go here to upload. You just press upload paragraph, photograph, and that kind of just takes you through to have that uploaded. It takes maybe a day or so to actually show up on the platform. Once you have everything here put up, and with your letter of recommendation as well, you have to actually go through and actually assign these to each program individually. So that you just kind of do through here, assign, and if you had programs that you had already looked at, that you had selected, you would kind of go through these, through the different specialties, different program names, and individually assign each letter of recommendation and each document that you want attached to that application that the program director is going to see. So then within programs, the way you do it, you pretty much just go here, you do it by specialty. Internal medicine, you can choose a state. So because I'm in Florida, I'm going to choose Florida. And then you can either look here directly for a specific program, or you can look here and just kind of see the menu that's kind of scrolling down. When you first open it, everything is kind of like displayed in a very, maybe not so easy to read way. The way I like to do is kind of just collapse all rows, and then you can kind of see exactly how many programs there are. So for example, we know that Florida has 46 internal medicine programs, and then you can just go through each one of these and kind of pick them and see things that you may like. For example, here at Cleveland Clinic, they have internal medicine preliminary track, internal medicine categorical, and prelim neurology prelim. So I would select it here, save program, confirm. And then that would come to my list of saved programs. To see my list of saved programs, I have to do it by specialty as well. You click here, you go into internal medicine, and then you can see it right there. So pretty much the way you kind of do this, the more you explore it, the more friendly it becomes. When you're applying to programs, you make sure you save them first, you assign all the documents, and then you actually go and put that you want to apply to these programs. Here in the message center, pretty much you can kind of just see different messages that you receive as updates from ARAS, something you'll see from ECFMG. You'll see things like this, like your letter of recommendation has been uploaded. And then you'll also see, for example, sometimes programs will reach out individually and they'll say they'll want to schedule something, or they might just give an update to your application as well. And then they can actually invite you to interviews through two different ways. They can do this through this portal, or a lot of programs actually use a platform called Thalamus as well. And what happens with Thalamus is that they send you an email, you kind of confirm via your personal email, and then you do the interview through them on that platform. Through here, pretty much, you receive an email, you may receive a list of possible dates, you choose what is most likely convenient for you, and then you can probably choose something sometimes with a good amount of time in advance. Another thing that they actually added within the programs is, I don't know if you see, guys, see this right here. It says signals. This is also new. This was incorporated last year with a supplemental application. Pretty much, I want to kind of equate this to the pokes that used to happen on Facebook. It's kind of a way to let programs know that you're interested in them. You can do up to 7 pokes, I believe. So make sure you guys use your signals well, that you are signaling only programs that are of your highest interest. And, you know, that really is the kind of the real gist of everything, of kind of how to navigate the ARS application, how to navigate the different parts. A lot of it is just kind of practicing it, kind of doing it over. A lot of these parts within, for example, the application, and you go when you're doing your experiences, it's very, very much like filling a CV. So if you have your personal CV filled up, a lot of it might be copying and pasting it and then refining it to make sure that you kind of use the best words possible. You want to make things as easy to understand as possible. So I don't know if we have any questions so far, Kenya.
Yes, we do. We actually have one in Spanish. ¿Cómo se sube el medical school transcript? How do you upload your medical school transcript?
Yes. So to upload your medical school transcript, and here, for example, will you use this? You have to press yes. And then you actually have to do it through ECFMG. Let me see if I can find that for you. but in reality, this is kind of like the same way they kind of upload the transcripts. They just have to get a request from ECFMG to kind of to upload this. In some cases, in some universities, depending, they will allow the student to upload this, but it's really on a rare case basis. Usually it has to be the university that uploads this directly to ECFMG. And then,
Are you showing something on the screen? Because we,
yeah, I'm looking for it because
oh, okay. While you find it, we have a question from Tona.
of course.
The question is, what does it mean by degree year? Year of graduation.
So with degree year of graduation is the date you got your degree. For example, in my case, I received my degree in October of 2017, and that's the date that you would put down, or the month you'd put down that you actually received your degree. For example, I formally finished my studies in September of 2017, and then until the time that they actually processed everything, that they gave me the degree, and I was actually said to be graduated, and at that moment that I graduated is when I would put down as my degree year or my degree month.
We have
So-
Neira who's asking, what's the process of the signaling? ¿Cuál es el proceso del signaling?
Of course. So
But if
let
you
me
want to
just,
answer the transcript part first.
yes,
or-
exactly. Let me answer that question. So here, if you guys see, we're in the OASIS portal again. And here on this section, it says request a transcript transfer from ECFMG. It's pretty much the same thing here. You put it right here. And because, for example, in my case, my school participates in the fact that they have to send it directly, then this option is not available to me. If my school did not participate in this, then I would have to be the one that uploads it. But pretty much the university, they receive a request from ECFMG, and then the university can go into ECFMG and upload the document. Usually ECFMG is really good with processing things. They say it takes up to like 2 weeks, but honestly, in my experiences, I've seen them take maybe a few days sometimes, or even sometimes within the same day, depending on what type of document it is. And then the other question was with the signaling, right?
Yeah, the signaling. How's the process?
So for example, if you click on the signaling here, you see I have 7 signals available, pretty much. If I go to my save programs, and once I actually apply, see it right here, it says accepting signals. It's very simple. You just go to here to more and assign signal. And once you actually send your application, that will go through to them. And really, it's just a way for them to know that you're interested in applying and that you would like for them to kind of look at your application. Keep in mind that they still receive a lot of signals, and depending on the program, some programs will receive a lot more signals than others, but actually this can kind of be that little factor that kind of changes. You know, it's just a little sign of, hey, I have greater interest in your program, and they kind of recognize that because you only have 7 signals.
Yes, that's what I was gonna ask. So once you reach those 7, like you're done.
Yeah, no, you can't do any, you can't send any more signals. After those 7, that's it. And it's made purposely so you can't just signal every program, you know, it's to kind of really purposefully show your interest.
Okay, so our next question is by Gonzalo. He's asking if you could talk more about what would one include in the personal statement.
So with the personal statement, you know, I think there's really like no real formula to writing it, but I think there's things that clear things that you shouldn't do. You shouldn't just rehash your CV or your resume, you know. They have your resume. They don't want to just see you go after it again. It's more of kind of just you explaining who you are, why you want to do the specialty you want to do, what things have you done in your life that kind of intertwine with that specialty. and on both senses, in the sense as a personal way, and as a professional way. In my case, something that I have on my personal statement is in 2016 in Ecuador, there was a big earthquake that was about 7.5 that kind of devastated Ecuador. I, with a group of students, a group of friends, physicians, we actually organized a first effort to go help these people. And as I was actually finishing my medical training, that was probably like one of the biggest opportunities I could have had to participate in actually being able to give back to my country, to be able to apply the knowledge I kind of learned in medical school. And for me, it kind of solidified the want to kind of do internal medicine, because I could kind of apply my knowledge to a vast variety of pathologies in any type of situation, pretty much. So things like that, things that you kind of tie in with your personal life, personal experiences, and your passion for the field that you're interested in, the specialty that you're interested in.
Great. So now Stephanie is saying, they say it's better for the doctor that gives you the letter of recommendation to upload it to ERAS. How do they do that?
So for them to upload it to ERAS, let me see exactly. They have to receive a request from you. And let me kind of see how I can show this to you guys. So if you can see here, it says the add new. In the add new section, you guys are going to, here you just put the author name, the title or the department, the specialty, the program, some disclaimers. And then as well, here at the bottom, you see waive my right for my letter of recommendation. It's important that you waive your right to see your letter of recommendation. Pretty much here, you put their email, they'll receive a request, and then they can actually upload it through their email. And there's actually a portal where they go through as authors and have access to that and kind of do that. The important thing is that it's going to give you a code that you have to send them so they can kind of verify that it's you. Another way to kind of do it is that you share your AAMC identification number, and then they can make sure that they make sure that it's the correct person that they're assigning the letter to.
Okay, so our next question is from Carla. She's saying, good afternoon, Dr. Neira. How many programs do you recommend applying? Is there any chance for this year the number of programs allowed to apply? Is there any change in the number? Sorry, a change in the number.
There's really no limit in the amount of programs you can apply to. It just depends on how much you want to pay, to be honest, because it's not cheap. The first 10 programs cost $99, if I'm not mistaken. And then with each program, you can actually, they have a set amount that each program costs. So I believe between 10 to 20 programs, I think it was last year $15, and then 20 to 30 programs, every program after that is $16, and that kind of increases an incremental amount. So let's say you apply to 100 programs, which you totally can. There's not a problem with that. That's probably going to cost you about maybe like $2,000 or $2,500. I remember that I saw at one point that it was done, somebody had kind of made a list of how much it would cost to apply to every program within internal medicine, for example. And to apply to every program within internal medicine, I think it was in the maybe like 10,000s or something like that. I'm not sure, but I think there's about 500 internal medicine programs across the United States. So
Next question is, where can I put my hobbies and other extracurricular activities in my application?
that is a great question. So actually last year, and they had a section that was kind of personally directed towards that. Let me see if I can find it for you guys. Because of the fact that they kind of changed the application this year, there's things that weren't there last time. So, for example, this time there's really no hobby section as there was last year. I think that was kind of replaced by the impactful experience section. Within that, let me show you. So here in the experiences, you see how it said, describe up to 10 experiences. So this pretty much you describe maybe different work experiences, and then you describe the 3 experiences that you found most meaningful. So pretty much what they're just asking us to kind of talk about ourselves here. And I know kind of just talking about these topics isn't necessarily easy, and writing isn't really easy. It doesn't come naturally to everybody. I don't know why they kind of like took out that hobby section, because I don't see it anywhere on the application this year.
Yeah, it's I don't know why they took it off, because I don't know if you guys saw one of our videos about a live CV review. The doctor mentioned that when they're reviewing the CVs for the applicants, they actually want to see that you are human, that you do normal people things. So I wonder why they took it off.
So let me just check if it's within one of the other sections, but within everything I showed you guys, I did not see that section there. Yes, no, it's not there, because even on the CV part, where you can actually, let me show you that as well. On the dashboard, in this section right here, you see how it says view and print application, view and print CV. So here, after you complete everything, what this is going to do is going to give you a PDF of your application and then of your CV. Before, there used to be a section which actually said hobbies, specifically with a title, and now that's not there.
Oh, well.
Exactly. Well, I mean, but I think they gave us a great opportunity in kind of being able to give us that impactful section in the application, just because it gives us more space to kind of write. Because, here we can identify 3 experiences that we found most meaningful. Let's say that you worked for a medical mission various times. You can put that there. You can put your experience there. With the impactful experience, they're asking you to kind of make a second personal statement, kind of talk about more personally on your life. A lot of us as IMGs, we have a lot of different challenges that we face, a lot of different things that we go through. There's economic things, there's language barriers, there's cases where we have to change countries, and none of this is easy in any sense. And, on a personal sense, there's things that, for example, my family, they immigrated to the United States when I was young. And this is something that was difficult for us growing up. But here, they kind of give you that opportunity to kind of share a little bit more into that, kind of go a little bit deeper in the personal sense. In the personal statement, you're kind of tying in your medical field and what you're doing and how you're kind of focusing on that, you're kind of going more, giving it a bit more professional aspect without kind of looking at your CV again. Here in the impactful experience, you're kind of going back into your personal side, you know? So I kind of hope that that helps answer that question. And then also, you know, here is actually a great opportunity as well. You can actually identify or kind of talk about any red flags in the impactful experience section. For example, let's say you didn't get the score you wanted on one of your exams. This is a perfect opportunity to kind of do that, to kind of talk about why that happened, what happened in your life. I think a great example is kind of COVID, how it kind of messed up things for everybody and it kind of changed the exams around. But it made studying difficult, it made getting rotations difficult. So this is actually a great point to kind of address any red flags that they may have, why you may have taken longer to go to apply for residency, anything along the way, really.
So Anjimar has another question. It's, where can I add a master's of science degree that I completed after my medical degree?
Here in education. In the section where it says education, higher education. So pretty much here it gives you the opportunity to add your institution, the location, the type of education that it was, graduate, undergraduate, the field of study, and the master, and when you got your degree. So that's actually where you would put this, in the higher education section.
So I think we don't have any more questions. Let me double check. If you guys have any more questions, this is the time. But I believe we have one last question and they would like to have your contact information so they could get in contact with you.
Yeah, of course, of course. So pretty much you can kind of just write down my email and we can kind of go from there. So my email is my last name, Neira, C29@gmail.com.
We actually do have another question. It's by
Awesome.
Abu. It says, can you please tell me about the ERAS waive letter, or where can I find so that I can send it to the attendant who will write the letter of recommendation?
So the waive letter, or how to waive the letter, if I'm not, if that's kind of what you're asking. So again, let me show you. Let me take you from the beginning. So here, if you're in the dashboard, you're going to go to documents, and then the documents, you're going to click here on letters of recommendation. Once you get to the letters of recommendation section, here you're going to see this button, which is add new. In this add new, you're going to go through and you're going to fill out the author's name or the doctor's name, talk about the department. So let's say they're the director of internal medicine. You can put that here, the specialty to which this will be assigned. This part right here, where it just says specialty to which this will be assigned. This is more for you, so you kind of know how to assign your letter. No, the programs aren't going to see this this blank here. Within this, just kind of the different things you have to kind of give different acknowledgements, you know, who they are, kind of just read through this. And here you waive the right to see your letter of recommendation. Then pretty much what it's going to do is going to take you through more prompts. You know, it's going to say save. It's going to ask you for their email. And then you would kind of put their email in this part right here, and they would receive that notification that you want them to upload a letter of recommendation on your behalf. I hope that's what you were asking, and I kind of answered that correctly for you.
We have a very important question, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys that are watching have the same question. Those who are preparing for step one, let's say you take it this year, like we're coming to the last part of the year. When should I apply for the match if I take step one this year?
So I think the best thing to kind of know is, when do you plan to have your application completed? For example, let's say right now we are in July, you're gonna take your step one. Let's say you take it this month. For you to get your results, it's gonna take you about 2 weeks. You'll probably be getting your results towards the end of July. Like saying you're taking your exam tomorrow, kind of giving an example.
Okay.
That you would be getting your results for that at the end of July. You would have to know when you're going to take your step two. If you're going to take your step two in August, that's another 2 weeks you have to wait to get your results. If you also have to take your OET. Within your OET, it takes, I think, another 2 weeks to get your results from OET. Once you have everything together, it takes about a month to get your ECFMG certificate sent to you. If you have everything together, also you have to consider the different pathways as well, because once you have everything together, you kind of have to certify within this. For example, I did pathway 6. I had to do a mini STX where I had to get evaluated by 3 doctors on top of that. And this could only be done once I had my OET and my exams, I believe. So that's why if you're planning to take step one right now, would I plan to apply for this match season? I'm not going to say it's impossible, because I think it's possible, but I think it's going to be a difficult thing to do just because of how tight the whole timeline is. And also the fact that a lot of programs actually close application windows. They can receive any application from here to February, a lot of programs. But some will say and specifically state, we receive no more applications after November 1st or after the end of October. So it's just kind of taking into effect that the whole timeline of different programs as well, and when they expect to receive your application and stuff like that. So, if you apply for step one, if you do step one this year, I think if you can get everything done, you can get everything together, all your exams together, I think it would be towards the end of September or October. It's not really recommended to apply later in the match. Your chances go down drastically, kind of like the later you apply. It's not to say that, for example, let's say you did really well on your exams, you did really well in everything, you have everything together, you have great letters of recommendation, you have a great CV, go for it, 100%. I've seen people, or I've heard of people that they applied towards the end of the match and maybe didn't match right away and actually ended up getting a SOAP position. It kind of just depends on what you're kind of aiming for. If you're, for example, have an ideal program, an ideal place, you kind of want to set yourself up for success, in the sense that you want to apply according to their deadlines, according to when they want to receive things, according to when they're actually going to start looking at applications. Because the fact that as the later applications kind of get to them, they're already looking at applications. For example, there's programs that receive 6,000 or 7,000 applications, some that receive more depending on the program that they are. And they only have a limited team of people that maybe is 10, 20 people, including maybe some of the residents that might be providing some of these applications. So, there's cutoffs, there's things that kind of filter people out right away. Even after that, like, let's say, for example, last year I heard they were pretty much programs ended up interviewing 5% of the applicants that applications they received. So let's say they had 6,000 applications, they're only interviewing about 300 people.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's not to kind of discourage anybody, but it's more like plan ahead, kind of try to get an early jump on things, kind of organize yourself to kind of apply to programs in a sense that is in accordance to programming to the deadlines to make the chances better for yourself.
So Noah was saying that it's planning on taking it late this year. So let's say the last period to take the exam, it's October to December. So if you take it during this period, do you think someone has the chance to, I mean, can apply for March 2025? Does that person still has time to take step 1 and then 2 and then get the OET, ECFNG certificate?
So pretty much applying for next year. Applying for next year is what you're saying. Oh, definitely. You know, well, preparation for exams for every person is different. Some people may take longer, some people not so much, depending on your preparation during school. And to say kind of like, as IMGs, most of us, we don't really know how to take a standardized test like the USMLE. So just that kind of learning that whole process is a process within itself, you know, not just learning the different topics on the exam, but learning how to actually take the exam. So that preparation can be different for each person. Usually, I think the kind of like the average time people take is between 6 months to a year for pretty much in step 1 in preparation. Then after that, step 2 is, I wouldn't say easier than step 1, but it's very much tied to the kind of knowledge you learn in step 1. So if you kind of form strong bases in step 1, you kind of set yourself up to do well in step 2. And then with your OET, depending on your level of English, depending on how you kind of practice for the exam as well, this can be something that's a lot faster for you. With the OET, it's a lot shorter exam than the other two. For example, step 1, I think it's 8 hours. Step 2 is 9 hours, I think, if I'm not mistaken, well, they're all up there, 8 hours and 7 hours, something like that. And then with OET, that's only 4 hours. So, you know, I don't want to say that OET is easy because it does have its caveats. It does have different things that you have to kind of look into. You know, it has 4 sections: the reading, writing, listening, and then I'm forgetting one. But within that, reading, writing, listening,
and speaking.
Okay, the speaking section, yeah, that's right, that's correct. So the reading, writing, listening, you actually take on one day, in the 4-hour block to say, and then the speaking one you kind of take apart on a different day. You do this online on your computer. You kind of have to set up an area where somebody's going to call you. They're going to take you kind of like through some patient simulations where they kind of ask you. You have to talk to them as if you were the doctor and kind of give them feedback in that sense, give them guidance of what to do in different cases. But the focus is not so much on measuring your medical knowledge, but it's more on measuring how you present yourself, that you're professional, and that you can effectively communicate in English. I know OET offers different programming to practice. And then I think you're going to mention what we're going to have this week. Well, next week, Candia.
Yeah, in like a little bit over a week, we'll have a webinar with ACFMG, Intel, and OET. So you guys are going to listen from them directly, everything, all of your questions. So be ready. And don't forget to register, by the way. But we do have another question. It is about step 3.
Yes.
If you receive step 3 results by September 20th, is it too late to upload to ERAS?
No, not at all. Not at all. So just so you guys keep in mind, on the 27th or 28th is when they can start opening applications. You can send your application after that. So let's say you want to wait to get your result. You present on the 20th. That's going to take you about 2 weeks to get your results. You'll get your results by, let's see, October 5th. You can definitely wait until October 5th to kind of upload everything together. Now, another thing that you could do is you could kind of send your application, and then the program will also receive an update once they see your step 3 result that's been uploaded in the system. So honestly, neither one of the strategies are bad. It's just a preference of when you kind of want to apply for that. But you can definitely have everything together. And I think having the step 3 on your CV on your application is going to make it that much so much stronger.
Okay, I think that's it. By the way, I didn't see that you showed like the timeline for everyone to see, the one
Let's
that you
see.
showed me earlier.
Um,
The
let me
dates.
share that for you. I think I did, but
Yeah,
so
there it is.
here on the ECFMG page, we can kind of just see the timelines that we have. You know, as I mentioned, June 28th is when the ARS token opens. And then from this time until September, you know, in September, we can start applying to programs within the ARS. And what this means is that within the ARS platform, you can save from now to September, you can save all the programs that you want. And you can decide to apply to them, but the application is not going to be locked in until September 6th. Then after that, the application is going to be locked in, but it's going to stay there in the program, in the system, and they're not going to be able to open it until the 27th. Is pretty much what it means. On the 15th is when you can go on the NMRP match website, you can register for the match, and that has an additional cost associated to it. And pretty much this, the NRMP platform is where you apply to the match and where they kind of give you more information on pretty much different, like if you matched, if you didn't match, and then after that, during the SOAP process, they'll release the SOAP process instructions and list of programs that will kind of be left over as well. But most of the things you're going to be doing is going to be on the ARS platform.
Okay.
And then some other dates, just to kind of keep in mind.
Yes.
Within that, January 31st is the match standard registration deadline. What that pretty much means is that until the 31st of January, you can apply normally. If you apply after the 31st of January, there's going to be an extra fee associated to that. I don't know exactly how much the fee this year for the match is, but kind of throwing a number out there, let's say it's $100 to apply to the match. If you apply after the 31st of January, there's going to be maybe a $50 fee on top of that. And then in February is when you have to submit your rank order list. Pretty much you kind of match, you rank your programs on your preference order, and you rank programs that you apply to. So if you didn't get interviewed by a program, let's say, and sorry, you rank programs that you were interviewed by, not those that you applied to, that you were interviewed by. So let's say you had 5 interviews. Here you would match your list of programs that you had the most preference for within that process. And then once this closes, you kind of just wait until match week. You know, on this Monday of match week, you'll get an email saying that you have matched or you have not matched. Within that, if you match, then you kind of just sit tight until Friday when they tell you exactly where you matched. But if you didn't match, then the whole SOAP process would begin. That happens throughout the course of the week. After this date, after match day, when everybody knows exactly where they matched, then pretty much here the post-match process begins. And a lot of information is kind of just released in the sense that they will release which programs have vacant spots, which programs are still looking for applicants. There will be new programs that are kind of opening up as well that will still be looking to fill vacant spots. And you can apply directly to these. You can call them, you can message them. That's something else to keep in mind, that there's rules during the match season that you can't do. During the match season, you're not allowed to reach out directly to a program first and kind of say like, hey, like, look, I'm really, really interested. You can send a letter of interest saying that you want to be part of the program, but you can't formally solicit them in any way to open your application. After this season, in the post-match season, you can kind of go up to them, you can knock on the door, you can kind of do almost anything in that sense. And this kind of goes on from post-match goes on until the next match season begins, pretty much. And then let's say you did match in some place, then on July 1st is when your residency program would begin. And then fees associated, ECFMG token fee, 165, the USMLE transcript fee, $80, and here they actually have the application fees. So, see. So the first 10 that you apply to is $99. And then for every program that you apply from numbers 11 to 20, so let's say you apply to 20 programs, each program would cost $19. And then let's say you want to apply to 30 programs, each program after your program number 20 that you apply to would cost $23. And then when you apply to 31 or more programs, each program would cost $27. So you can kind of see how quickly this kind of adds up, and they kind of do a breakdown here, and they give us a little calculator to kind of see how much it would cost to apply to different residency programs. And then the match fee, the current fee is $70, and the late registration fee is $50 on top of that. But I mean, I think realistically, nobody wants to pay this because that's kind of applying really, really late into the season. And that really brings down your chances to kind of match somewhere the later you apply into the season.
I know that is a big number in the end.
It is. It definitely
No,
is.
Okay, so we don't have any more questions. Thank you so much, Dr. Neira, for joining us today and give us all of these tips with the application. And thank you everyone for joining us. Don't forget to register for our upcoming webinar. It's very important. It's a once in a lifetime experience and opportunity for all of us IMGs. So I left the link in the comments in the YouTube chat so you can register. It is on July 20th at 5 p.m. New York time. So thank you, everyone. I'll see you guys on that webinar. And thank you again, Dr. Neira. See you guys
Thank you
soon.
so much, Candia. Thank you so much, Candia. Thank you so much, everybody, for giving me the opportunity to be here and kind of share a little bit more. Have a great day and best of luck to everybody with your exams and throughout the match season.
Thank you.